Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Emax TinyHawk Freestyle 2. The people have spoken and Emax have listened. Now I love the first version of this guy, but it had two things holding it back. The VTX only had a power output of 25 milliwatts and it was a weak signal for 25 milliwatt as well. And the camera was the same one from the first generation of the TinyHawk. The TinyHawk Freestyle 2 now has a VTX that's switchable up to 200 milliwatts. It's got a longer antenna as well. And the camera has been upgraded to the Runcam Nano 2. Although the VTX does come locked to 25 milliwatts out of the box. So if you don't unlock it by pressing down the button on the top of the VTX when powering the model up, then it will still be outputting 25 milliwatt, even if the on-screen display says 200 milliwatts. They've also got it set to run at 25 milliwatt until the model arms. So if you have done all of that and your on-screen display is still showing 25 milliwatts, it's because you just need to arm the model. And just like all other Emax models, if you don't unlock it, then certain channels will be unavailable. So if you accidentally select one of them, then you won't get a picture at all, and the only easy way to fix it is to unlock it. The frame has a new paint job as well, and they have modified the front end to cater for the larger camera, which can have its angle adjusted using an M2 hex driver. They are using the same 1103 7000 kV motors and the 2.5-inch Avan Rush props that they used with the first one. The soft-mounted all-in-one board is the same one from the TinyHawk Race as well, so it's got 5 amp BL Heli S 4-in-1 ESCs with an F4 flight controller and a built-in FrSky D8 receiver. They're using the same dual solid-pin PH2 connector in series so that you can use your existing Emax LiPos that you might already have from one of their other products, although you are given two 450 milliamp 1S LiPos in the package along with a charger as well. Emax do say that the board can handle an XT30 connector, so you will get less voltage sag on punch outs if you want to install one yourself. But I've got so many of these Emax 1S LiPos, I'm yet to have one of them puff, so I will be sticking with them. Interestingly, they haven't provided a plug in my package so that you can fly it on a single cell, but it doesn't have much power on 1S anyways. The Betaflight setup is what you pay for with Emax. They give the models to experienced pilots so that everything is set up for you, and they tell you not to change anything in the online instructions. But I always find a couple of things that need tweaking for my own personal preference. It came flash with Betaflight version 4.1.0, which is actually getting a little old now, but I guess if it's not broke then there's no need to fix it. The config page was set up pretty perfectly. The only thing I added was RX lost in D-shot commands, but a lost model arm was already set up. Now I know Emax work on things in advance, and I think this guy was probably meant to be released some time ago, so it doesn't have JESC set up. Perhaps they can make an updated firmware, although they are quoting flight times of 5 to 7 minutes anyway, so perhaps it's not needed. There are two PID and rate profiles to take note of. The first profile is for 1S and the other is for 2S, so make sure that you have selected PID profile 2 through the on-screen display because there's a 75% throttle limit to avoid voltage sag on 2S. The rates were far too low for my liking with a velocity of around 400 degrees, so I've changed those to a higher freestyle rate because it's a freestyle model after all and not a race copter. The angle limit was also set to 30. I've changed this to 55, otherwise in a strong breeze you could get a flyaway if you are a beginner. The modes tab was set up perfect and match what I always set up in my Tyrannus, so there was nothing to change there whatsoever. The VTX table was also set up correctly. I did add the RSSI icon in the on-screen display tab. Now, SPI receivers aren't known for having good range, but this one is better than some I've seen, so I'm not sure why they haven't put the RSSI value on the screen, so I added it. But if you do want to add your own receiver, then there is one spare UART. And just another important thing to note is that the model is running props in because it doesn't come with the props installed. You have to install them yourself, so you'll need an M2 hex driver and you are given the screws for the props. It comes in its own carry pouch and it doesn't fit in the carry pouch with the props on, but if you remove the foam inlay it does. You get a spare set of props and a bag of spare screws and soft mounts, as well as a card telling you where to download the manual from. The model's dry weight is 56 grams and with the two lipos its all-up weight is 82 grams. There are a couple of things I'd still like to see improved with this guy though. It needs a mount for the SPI receiver because it's just left dangling and it's going to get caught in the props, and a small anti-slip battery mat wouldn't go amiss either. Okay, let's go for a line of sight flight with this guy. This is just really so you can hear what it sounds like, but it's very quiet. I can't hear it at all over the wind. Now it is very windy here today, but that could be a good thing because this is a freestyle model and I want to see how it handles things like prop wash and stuff, because the first freestyle handled it very well. In fact, there was no prop wash at all. So let's see what the punch is like. Oh wow, yeah, plenty of punch for freestyle. That's with a 75% throttle limit as well, but it probably needs that, otherwise the voltage would sag too much. Let's flick it into acro. Oh yeah, it feels nice and smooth. So looks like they have listened to people and put a more powerful VTX on there. So this could be a real winner. You have to remember though, you have to unlock the VTX by pressing the button when you plug the lipos in, otherwise it will show 200 milliwatts but it'll be only outputting 25 still, so be careful of that. But it's flying nicely, line of sight, not hearing any oscillations, no prop wash, in fact you can't hear a lot at all. So let's see how it performs FPV. Well, it's not very often I don't have much to say, but there is not a lot to complain about here. There's no Jallo in the video feed despite it being a CMOS camera on a sunny day. The VTX is much better with hardly any breakup, and there's no video noise or interference at all either. The range from the receiver is ample, and despite it being a windy day and me throwing every maneuver I can think of to try and cause some prop wash, it just always flies great. I was giving it absolute death on the throttle for most of the time, and the voltage did sag, but even then I was getting 5-minute flight times, so I can see 7-minute flight times absolutely possible if you go easier on the throttle. And if you want to get rid of that voltage sag, then pop an XT30 connector on there. So I'll leave you with some flying, and I'll put some links in the video description as well as a pinned comment if you wish to buy one. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.